Today is the 11th of May and it's about 7 in the morning. The reason I wanted to make this video is to shoot for the first time with this camera I just acquired. This is the Fujifilm GFX 50S. This is the first electronic medium format camera Fuji made, and I just got my hands on it a little while ago. So I just wanted to go on a hike really quick and get some photos. So I'm gonna go up to Stone Mountain State Park, which is over here in North Carolina. We'll just do a pretty standard hike, just hoping to get some good photos for the first time with this camera. Since I got it a few weeks ago, I haven't had the chance to shoot with it. So very excited for that. I don't have any lenses for it yet, but I do have a bunch of Mamiya film lenses because I own a 645 medium format film camera. So those lenses adapt pretty easily to this. So for this one, I have an 80mm Mamiya-Sekor 2.8 lens on. And another one I'll carry with me is going to be the 210 f4. So that'll be more larger focal length, will really compress the image. It's also forecasted to be overcast the entire day today. I'm actually hoping it rains a little bit because when it rains, you get these really rich greens, which look really good. I really like shooting in adverse conditions because you get the best looking scenes. Let's hop on the road and see what we get. I'm gonna make sure to wear a rain jacket because it's going to rain most likely. Honestly, the conditions are exactly what I was expecting based on the weather forecast. There were some heavy rains on the way up here, but here it's overcast, even lighting, very rich forest greens. So I don't know, this might work out. Some of the best photos that I've gotten is when shooting in adverse conditions. I know, like, obviously there's problems with that because your gear might get destroyed or you might be in danger. You might be in danger because of the weather, but if it's done in a safe way and if it's possible, shooting in the rain, shooting in some snow, just any adverse weather conditions, you can get some incredible images, and most people don't really shoot in those conditions, so it's unique. One of my favorite memories shooting up here in North Carolina is when you get those like spring and summer rains and there's also fog. It just creates that natural depth of field in your scenery, and it just looks so good. All right, a few things to note. Made my way up to the mountain. Forgot the tripod mount for this camera, so now it's just sitting on a rock. Just hope it doesn't fall right off. Shot some photos with the GFX in camera. It looks ridiculous. So we'll see how it is when we get down and import these pictures. This looks like beautiful. Okay, so we made it down the mountain and made it back to our place. Got the photos imported, got them edited a little bit in Lightroom, and I guess we can kind of just go right through it. So this is the first image that I took at the beginning of the trail. Some beautiful flowers, spring has sprung. I used the 80mm 2.8. and it's a Mamiya-Sekor lens, film lens. But the cool thing about obviously these modern day mirrorless cameras are that you can focus peak. The lens is very sharp. I shot this wide open and you can see the depth of field, the bokeh. It's really nice, honestly. Very rich greens. Next one, this is probably one of my favorites. With the big sensor, when I was editing it in post,
you could really see it almost kind of looks like a HDR image, right? Because usually with like full frame cameras, especially if you're doing like real estate work, you do a lot of HDR photos where you stack different exposures together to get that like high dynamic resolution. This is at 1/250th of a second, f8, I think, and you can really see the amount of details in the shadows that I was able to pull, and then also the highlights are very nice and sustained. Yeah, I like this one, like the way this came out. Again, this is another example of that sort of kind of HDR look that you get with this big sensor. Just the amount of detail that you're able to get on this tree trunk in the foreground, and then also the amount of detail you get with that kind of hazy grass that's kind of going into the background. It's crazy. It really reminds me of when I would do like real estate HDR photos, where you're taking like 3 large raw files and then stacking them together in post. Really, really cool. This one I just framed it between 2 trees to kind of just highlight that mountain. I was able to retain a lot of details in the foreground still, and not blow out the background, which is the subject. So pretty cool. I'm happy with this. So, honestly, when you're shooting out in just doing kind of landscape stuff, it's difficult to find good compositions because there's just trees and mountains everywhere. Everything is so busy. To like isolate something is very difficult. And this picture is still pretty busy. Like in the bottom, there's some like messy trunks and stuff, tree trunks and branches and stuff like that. So it's not the greatest composition on earth, but honestly, could be worse. Pretty good. I like this one. Obviously, it's a very photographers love doing this, using foreground elements blurred out and to create like a natural frame. Use some tree branches, came out really good. But I think the kind of winning factor of this image is just the beautiful color that you're able to retain. And then there was just a little bit of clearing on top of the mountains that gave a bit of a highlight that really kind of just draws your eyes naturally to the main part of the image, which is going to be your mountainscape. All of these images I've used one of my presets that I've built. I call it Prairie 200, I believe. I kind of tailored it to kind of the colors you get in North Carolina in spring and summer, which is just these like really, really rich greens. I think I'm selling them individually for like $10, the Lightroom preset. I'll link it below if you guys care to see it. Yes, so one of the main features of Stone Mountain State Park, which is here in North Carolina, is the Stone Mountain kind of texture landscape that you see. So it's basically just a big bald rock, and it has this like really cool print that like streaks on the earth that make very picturesque looking landscape. So I just kind of use that to create one side of my image and then offset it with the surrounding greenery mountainscape in the background and on the left. Again, another thing about it is just the amount of shadows and detail that the details in the shadows you're able to retain with just having a giant sensor like that. One of the main kind of gripes I've seen online about the GFX, especially the newer GFX model or the older GFX models, is how slow it is. It is definitely a slow camera. I've only used it in one mode, but it takes like a second to take the picture. But honestly, if you treat it like it's medium format film, then it's kind of the same thing. You just have to kind of slow it down a little bit. I'm pretty used to it because I predominantly shoot film now anyways, so I wasn't that thrown off by it. Anyways, this image, I just used some isolated trees to kind of frame this. And again, the winning quality of this image is definitely going to be the colors. It's giving very Jurassic Park. That's what I felt when I was there, because of the overcast and just the rich greens. I'm glad I was able to kind of retain that quality in the images. This is with the 210, so I have a Mamiya-Sekor 210mm f4 fixed focal length, and it's sharp. It's a very sharp lens, and it's obviously very compressed, zoomed in. So this one really helps me get some very good like detail shots, and this is one of those. Obviously, I was able to just kind of zone in, compress onto a certain part of the landscape. It was just so busy with trees everywhere, but I was able to get a little bit of depth of field between the shrubbery in the front and the trees and the mountains in the back. Pretty cool. This was also with the 210. It like started to rain in the far background a little bit, so it created a little bit of depth of field naturally. So I was just trying to take advantage of that. But I mean, corner to corner, f8. This photo came out at 8,256 by 6,192 resolution. It is just a monster file size. You could literally crop this into like 3 different images and it would be like completely perfect. That's the cool thing about medium format. Yes, this is another one of that rock formation. Used it in the foreground, in the bottom, to kind of contrast. There's 3 elements in this picture. Basically, you have the sky, obviously, which is nice and even, didn't blow it out. The foreground, which is the rock formation, and then the middle part, which are just these beautiful mountains. You can see the outlines of it in this beautiful kind of different hues of the green. Really cool. I like this one. And then this is the last one. I was on my way back down the mountain and it started raining a little bit, and it was just a very ominous, kind of moody scene with a bunch of just trees with no leaves. So it looked pretty cool. Kind of the main things I've seen with this camera is just the amount of details you're able to retain in the shadows and not blow out the sky. It's very cool. So this being a Fujifilm camera, there are film simulations and certain in-camera settings that you can set up prior before taking photos and videos. I'm pretty familiar with it because I already own a bunch of Fujifilm cameras. This is being filmed with an X-T2. If you'd like to kind of know more about what settings I use in camera with Fujifilm, just leave a comment below. But yeah, I had a lot of fun making this video, taking this camera out finally. I'm working on a Mamiya-Sekor video, which hopefully eventually I'll finish. But if you enjoy watching this, leave a comment, like the video, and subscribe. I always love getting comments from people that are interested and they enjoy the stuff that I put out, and it makes me want to put out more stuff. So anyways, that's it for me. I will see y'all in the next one.